Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The debate or the fight for who is going to be the Zanu PF presidential candidate is hotting up. I have said on this platform and other platforms that Zimbabweans, we should not be involved in who should be the Zanu PF candidate. What we should be interested in is making sure that the elections are free, fair, and credible. And this is the message I would like to repeat on this occasion. Let's just listen to this interview that was given by one of the war veteran leaders.
Are you against the 2030 slogan?
Yeah, I'm very much against. I think from my last interview, now that this is bullshit. You know? This is bullshit.
But you yes.
Fighters. Top one way up in the State House. But
you were two guys. Robert Kapio Mugabe was your guy.
Fuck off, man. When we say my war veterans, one way, I do that as I want. Yeah, one way, right? Our man nationalists, don't tell my war veterans.
Well, I think we are starting to split hairs here. Who is a nationalist and who is a war veteran? That can be settled among themselves. What we have got, we as Zimbabweans have got to understand is that the war veterans and the nationalists, where you draw the line is irrelevant, have imposed a one-party state in Zimbabwe. There cannot be any doubt that Zimbabwe is a one-party state. And many people have played their role, particularly Zanu PF, nationalists on one side and war veterans on the other. Here is a video of Mnangagwa stating his role in the imposition of the one-party state in Zimbabwe.
2008 patakaita ma-elections pakaposa papinda Tsvangirai ndandiri election agent ya-president. Ma-results abuda tiri pa-party headquarters vamutasa vanga vari secretary vedu ve-administration vamutasa muripi yafona ndiri kwarusapi komo gwenda kwarisapi seka ma-results achibuda kudai vanga aiwa zvako izvo Mnangagwa ndezvo zvako endaenda kumusha ofisi vanga vabisa zvinhu zvavo zvose watofunga kuti zani yadini yaparara. President ofona zvakamira sei kati ndomamira zvakaita takatodini kateda sei manje mama ndikati abvudzai baba nditaurira baba gadzirai politburo cabinet musarangarira zvimwe zvinhu gadzirai chi cabinet asina kuda kuti muzive kuti 2008 ma-results abuda vamutasa vakatiza.
As a country we face a generational transition. Vana vesa vari kuma below 35, they are crying out for help. The country is in a mess. Arusurufaro. We know we are inheriting a mess. We know this country has been left with nothing.
I'm assuring you that starting from tomorrow, you'll see a different nation from what you have seen or read on the news about these results and everything. Where we are going ahead there, the situation will be very different. What we said to our people, they could not see with their own eyes. We are going to act as we see it fit. We are prepared to go the whole distance.
I think it's a matter of historic fact that the war veterans have played a very significant role in the imposition of the one-party state in Zimbabwe. Ever since 1980, when it came to the first elections in Zimbabwe, Zanu PF has kept many of his operatives in the field, and they made it very clear to the electorate at the time that if Zanu PF did not win those elections, the bush war would continue. Of course, the people voted to end the bush war. And Zanu PF, as soon as they got their feet under the desk, went ahead and started consolidating, creating the de facto one-party state that we have seen these last 44 years. I totally agree that Vision 2030 is bullshit. It is bullshit. When Mnangagwa got into power in 2017, he was cocksure that he was going to revive the Zimbabwe economy. The Zimbabwe is open for business turned out to be nothing but a lie. Zimbabwe's economy has been in total meltdown. One of the reasons why the war veterans are up in arms is because many of them are feeling the ill effects of Zimbabwe's failed economy. Or as he so brashly put it, the bullshit of Vision 2030. The economy is not improving. It's getting worse and worse by the day. And the war veterans are feeling the ill effects of that just as much as the millions of ordinary Zimbabweans are feeling the ill effects of that. What we need as a country is to get out of this mess. Zimbabwe is a failed state because we failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. So the common agenda for the war veterans, for the ordinary povo, is let's end this case of rigged elections and bad governance. And the only sure way of doing it is that let's have democratic reforms so that we've got free, fair, and credible elections. That should be our common denominator. We cannot deny that the war veterans are suffering, nor can we deny that the ordinary Zimbabweans are suffering. What we need is a common solution, not a solution that will only fit one side. Let me make it very clear. I have got nothing against the war veterans. And as citizens of Zimbabwe, they have every right to put forward a candidate of their own choosing to contest as the presidential candidate. If they're putting that candidate in the context of Zanu PF, that is for them as Zanu PF members and the rest of the Zanu PF membership to sort out. That has nothing to do with people like myself who are not Zanu PF members. If they're putting that candidate in the context of some other political grouping, that is for them to do so. But what must be made very clear is that that candidate must contest in a free, fair, and credible election. In other words, we need to get the reforms implemented. And we need to commit ourselves to making sure that those elections are free, fair, and credible. The idea that we can have another rigged election is totally unacceptable. That is the bullshit that we must avoid. Zimbabwe must have free, fair, and credible elections. So I think the war veterans should be clear on 3 points. The first point is they should admit, they must admit that they have played a role in the imposition of the Zanu PF one-party dictatorship. A very significant role. They should not deny that. That is a historic fact. The second point is that they have got, as much as they have got a right to put forward anyone, even one of their own, as presidential candidate, if they're putting that name forward in the context of Zanu PF, then the fight should be with Zanu PF. There's nothing to do with the ordinary Zimbabwean. The third point is that whoever they put forward, he or she must win the majority votes in a free, fair, and credible election process. The commitment to free, fair, and credible election is not negotiable. It is a pity that we have spent the last 44 years and we had not got to that point where we can hold free, fair, and credible elections. That is to be deeply regretted. As a nation, we failed ourselves. As war veterans, they cannot deny that they failed the nation. They played a very significant role in imposing the Zanu PF de facto one-party state on the people. And I think they owe it to the people of Zimbabwe to end this crisis. No one has got the right to govern Zimbabwe. No one has got the divine right to govern Zimbabwe. That right must be derived from winning the majority votes of Zimbabweans in a free, fair, and credible election. After 44 years of rigged elections, it's a pity that we had not reached that point yet. But we must reach it now. No one has the divine right to rule the country, whether they are nationalists or war veterans or povo, except by winning the majority vote in a free, fair, and credible election. The right of every citizen to a meaningful say in the governance of the country is what is at stake here. Not somebody claiming that because I was a war veteran, I've got a right to be in State House. That is bullshit. And we are sick and tired of that bullshit. Everyone has the right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. If you want to rule the country, you must win the majority votes in a free, fair, and credible election. Period. If you don't, then you've lost. We need to move on as a nation. We are not going to allow anybody to hold the nation to ransom. We are not going to allow those who have held the nation to ransom to now conveniently try to surgically separate themselves from their colleagues. Call yourself a war veteran or a nationalist. There is no doubt that the bond between the two has been very strong. There is no doubt that many war veterans have got blood of innocent Zimbabweans on their hands, shed for the principal purpose of imposing the one-party Zanu PF dictatorship. War veterans, some of them, not all of them, were involved and try to split and separate and say, no, these were nationalists, we are war veterans, is, to me, ridiculous. We need to move on the issue of reforms and free, fair, and credible elections. We need a full commitment by everyone to free, fair, and credible elections. We are holding the whole region to ransom. Zimbabwe rigged last year's elections, albeit with the help of the opposition. We must put an end to this madness. 2028, the elections must be free, fair, and credible. There is very little chance that Zanu PF will implement any reforms. If there are no reforms, then the ordinary Zimbabweans must stop participating in a flawed election process only to give Zanu PF legitimacy. What happened last year when nearly 2 million participated in those flawed elections because they believed Chamisa's idiotic lie that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes must not be repeated. SADC, as much as they would have wanted to deny Zanu PF political legitimacy, they could not, because millions of ordinary Zimbabweans participated in those flawed elections. We must stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And this issue of war veterans wanting their own candidate, please, by all means, you can have your own candidate. But the elections must be free, fair, and credible. on that is not negotiable. And to try to pretend that the war veterans have never had anything to do with the imposition of the Zanu PF one-party dictatorship is a lie that is totally unacceptable. Let's deal with the truth. Let's not try to airbrush historic facts. If you're going to talk of bullshit, let's talk of bullshit. Rigged elections is bullshit. And we are not going to accept another rigged election in 2028. Thank you very much, and have a good day.